All right, so we are live on YouTube.
L live on YouTube.
And we're rocking now. I'm live on Facebook. In 1 second. Yep.
Okay. Welcome.
Yeah, so we got some better hardware, more understanding of the software, so we're good now, I hope. And we're live today, 11/2. And
Sounds good.
cool. All right, audio works. Well,
Sounds a lot better than I think it did.
and anybody's got feedback on the audio, if we're getting echoey or anything like that, please share that so we know.
Figure we'll probably give it like 10 minutes or so before we.
Yep, here's Zach. Zach, everything sounds good?
Oh, Zach. Oh, Ryan is watching.
I am.
Hello, Zach. Thanks for joining us. We have a bit of a delay, which is why I answered late, but you know.
And we are live on YouTube as well. So I got that going. If anybody chooses to want to,
You posted the link, didn't you?
I will right now. It's going to be on, it'll be on yours. I'll share it on yours.
Okay. Good evening, Matt.
We got the Hollenbaugh up here. Let's see, we got what, 8?
8 people. They're flooding in.
9. Yeah. So we'll get started here in just a minute. Just letting whoever wants to join. I am watching the YouTube stream as well. So if you chat on there, I will see that and respond back.
Oh, the YouTube one's really far behind.
Is it really?
Like I just put my headphones on there.
Oh.
It was like 3 minutes ago.
Yeah. Well, you have that.
So YouTube might be a bit delayed, but if you guys send questions or talk to us on Facebook here, I can see it. But yeah, like you said, we'll get going here in just a second. We'll give it a few minutes for people to join up.
like a billion things going at once here.
Zach, I saw you got pulled over on the Grom. Did you get a speeding ticket? Going 45 and a 25?
Yeah, we lost all our viewership. We're down to 5 now. Oh well, let's get cracking.
Let's get cracking.
Make some fine tune adjustments here, and then
Unsafe lane change. Well, that was nice. No ticket. I don't know how to work this. I can't see how many people are on there anymore.
oh well, we got 6.
Okay.
So
Well, you know.
we'll we'll just get going on it then. So, what do you got, Jake? I'll let you start off. It's a beautiful Thursday night here in. We're at my shop over here, Late Apex.
Indeed. It's a bit chilly.
It is. Well, not in here. It's not bad.
No.
It's like 70 or so in here. So, we good.
I bought a pellet stove, Matt, so if you ever come back over, you won't have to freeze to death, by the way.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So, if anybody doesn't know Jake very well and is coming from my side of things, Jake built his shop beginning of this summer?
No, it was kind of like last winter, fall. Well, more of fall because we were working in it last winter, putting the walls up and stuff like that.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah, so the actual framing and everything was done and whatnot during the summer, I believe, and everything pretty much got finished up in the fall. And so, yeah, it's been loads of fun. Ryan's helped me with a lot of it. Another friend of ours, Rogers, helped me with a lot of it, but building walls inside rooms, doing insulation, drywall, ceiling, mini splits, just all kinds of fun stuff. But we're getting close. You know, she's pretty good.
So recently, you ceiling is one of the last things you've done. Well, most recently, and then pellet stove to get the heat amenities going over the winter. We're going to. I'm going to help him get his dyno room looking proper, so we can set up camera and have some cool footage in his dyno room whenever he does dynos and stuff. And I made him a metal sign that's lit up to give him some cool little logo there in the background when he does that.
Yeah, that sign is super cool. Yeah, Ryan's going to help me make it look nice because I am not an artistic, colorful, fun person. I'm black and white, and that's it.
I half am, but, you know, as long as it's just not satin black all the time. I don't mind satin black, but just too much of it's, you know.
That's all I ever want is satin black.
Yeah, I know that.
Like, I have a frame in the bed of my truck right now that we need to make satin black.
Oh, you brought that with you?
Well, it's been in the back of my truck for like 2 weeks now.
Nice. Anything else new in the shop since the last time, or no?
Nah, I did a little more wiring on it. I don't know if you saw the wiring because I put the new TV up and stuff. So really just the ceiling is what I've been trying to plug away at because that sucks.
No, I mean bikes in, anything new in the tuning or get anything else in that's of any coolness?
No, I finished a Busa, or not a Busa, a Bee King, which is a naked Busa. If you guys don't know what a Bee King is, I finished tuning one of those earlier today. Did some ZX10 Diag stuff. Got some engine parts in for a Grom that I need to finish doing a top end on. It kind of blew up on the customer. I swapped in the camshaft that I had ground with webcams. I had a custom cam made for those CG250 engines.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that was phenomenal. That worked so good. But we are on the brink of running parts into each other, so we have no more room to go. But it's making incredible power for what it is. They're awesome. I don't know if I got anything else.
Definitely
going on
have
at the
to
moment.
get some dyno footage as soon as we get. We need to get on getting the dyno room done so we can make it look pretty, and we can start getting some cool video to put up on your Facebook page and all that stuff, because you don't put up much content.
Yeah, sorry guys, I am very, very lacking in social media. In fact, like this podcast thing, I told Ryan, I was like, hey, let's do a podcast, and he's probably like, you don't do anything online. I'm like, well, and then to be fair, he's done most of this. Like, credit goes to him. He's like set this stuff up and did the research and got these cool little gadgets to help us and make it sound better. And he's basically just, hey, you need to buy this and bring it over. And I'm like, okay, thanks for researching.
Yeah, it's been tedious and a lot of buying stuff that end up either being not worth buying or the wrong thing, and returning shit, and finally, figuring it out. So this one's going a lot smoother. Everything runs correctly. Audio is good so far that we can hear, and seems to be on the right track. But yeah, I'm gonna try to help him get a little bit, and I'm kind of lacking on my content on mine too, just because start getting into work and you just don't want to stop and take a picture or whatever. So it's, you're just don't really have, it's not that you have time, it's just like your momentum's going forward and you're like, we'll just keep it going. Like, you don't want to stop and take the picture and dick with that stuff,
Yeah, so what I found, like, when I started, I was doing social media like crazy. Like, I was putting dyno videos up. I was putting pictures of project bikes up, asking questions about them. And, like, really it was to draw up business, because I just started and, like, hey, somebody come, let me work on your bike. I need some money. And as times went on, you just get busier and busier and busier. And, like, I just don't really need to drum up business on social media. So I've been really lacking in it. Like, I know I need to do more, but it's just like, I've got work. I don't really need to post stuff, and
Yeah, and I tried to, do a live stream once a week when I was, kind of started doing this full time, and it worked for a little while, and then I was like, I got busy or whatever. It's a lot easier when we're doing together and not just talking business stuff. We could talk, racing or whatever, but
yeah, it's definitely a lot easier with.
Yeah, because I just say, get over
two
here.
people
There's
and,
yeah, it's like when you work out,
Yeah, exactly.
If you work out by yourself,
you got to be held accountable.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the situation with this same way, because I'm like, oh man, he better be over here. But,
my only post in like the past year is like, hey, we're doing a podcast, and by the way, I built Ryan a 660. This is what it is.
which you should,
Yeah.
because the 660 is awesome. Thing is a beast.
Zach, we can refresh your H2 whenever you want, really. I mean, just get with me. We can do it next week. We can do it the week after. I mean, it's getting cold, so I don't know if you want to ride it over or, throw it in the truck with Connor and come over. But yeah, whenever you want, we can get it freshened up. Zach's got he's got a pretty sweet H2. It's crazy. So he brung it to me essentially bone stock for me to tune for him, and it made 221, I think, just bone stock tuned.
Connor says you're coming to Michigan with him for the ZX10.
I thought they were delivering it to me. That's what I'm hoping for. I want to just open the door for him. I don't want to drive there.
Don't let the heat out, Yes, get it in here quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, and then in my shop, same old stuff. Just like I talked to you earlier. A lot of equipment issues lately, which is never a good thing to have. It always ends up getting me way behind, and I spend hours trying to get something up and running, and it's a pain in the ass. So had that issue last couple days with my big compressor and blast cabinet, and been struggling with that a little bit, and then pinched nerve in my neck back, and that's been really kicking my ass, but it's getting a little bit better, but it still sucks pretty bad. So hopefully that goes away soon. But
yeah, the equipment issues suck. That's something you don't quite realize right off the bat when you're like starting a business is like, if something breaks, that just comes out of your pocket. There's no company to fix it. Like,
yeah,
when I was at the dealership, something would break, or, even like, a guy would mess up a customer bike or something like that, and it's like, okay, well, dealer's dime, fix the equipment, buy new equipment, fix the bike, whatever. But then, when it's yours, like I had the brake controller go out on my dyno, and it was only it was 3 or 4 years after I bought it, but still, like, it was brand new and everything. And I'm like, hey guys, this went out, and they're like, oh yeah, that sucks. Try this, this, and that. And I'm like, yeah, I tried this, this, and that. And they're like, okay, well, yeah, it's bad. We've seen that before. It's like $500. You gotta get a new one. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, awesome. I guess ship that to me, and here's my card.
Yeah, and when you're
Bummer.
working for somebody else, you're still making money.
Yeah.
Where and the other way, it's you're down, you're not making a dime.
Yeah.
And basically, with your dyno and stuff, like, you're not specialized in knowing the machinery itself, like the ins and outs and how to troubleshoot and fix it. I mean, I'm sure you get good at it as you go, but for me, like, I don't know shit about this diesel air compressor I have. I mean, I know the basics on it, but like, there's so much electrical stuff, sensors and BS stuff. So if something that I had that, like recently where it shut off and no clue why,
Yeah.
trying to trace it down, it's a sporadic thing, and nightmare. And
it's just one of those things you don't want to do, because like, you're not getting paid to do that. Like, you're getting paid to use it and do customer work, and then it's like, darn it, I gotta stop and diag my own stuff.
Yeah, Brett, I am still doing Cerakote. Yes. Yeah, and not only,
Thanks, by the way, Brett, for the words. Nice words.
You're down trying to fix the shit. You're not being productive and getting your work done, so everything kind of falls behind, and then that's when the other long hours go in and whatever, and it sucks. Yeah, and then the loss of money to fix stuff is just the icing on top. So, but mine, I don't know. Like I told you earlier, I tried a couple different things, and they were kind of a whim, and it works now. So whatever. I have no idea how it got fixed, but it's fixed and it works.
That's the worst part, though. Like,
oh yeah,
because like you don't know, like, is it actually fixed, or has it just not acted up in a day? It's like,
well,
you like to find a concrete piece that is, hey, this thing is bad. Let me fix it. Now everything is good.
It has, though, always shut off randomly. I mean, like, not always for the forever. I'm just saying in the last month when or couple weeks when it started to happen.
Yeah.
It would, like, I couldn't blast and it not shut off. And today, couple hours and no issue. So I assume it's fixed. I replaced that relay that I just kind of guessed. So I'm hopefully that is it, or the contacts on the plug on the ignition switch. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It runs now, so it's good. Yeah, still not oven's still not done. That's probably going to take another year. I think I'm 2 years into it now, so that's good.
His oven will get done when my building's finished.
That's true, probably. And then after that's done, my bigger spray booth comes, and that'll probably take 2 years. So, I mean, I can't afford to like be doing that anymore because it's actually kind of costing me money. Because the more I can get in at one time, the less it costs me to do something.
Yeah.
So the more I can, wheel in and bake at one time, the better off I am. So I need to really get on that. But
Yeah, you see some of those pictures of those guys with, booths that are bigger than this, and they're doing like 6 frames and 10 wheels and 56 little parts, and it's like,
yeah, I
good
don't want
God.
to. My stepdad was telling me about like back home where I grew up, St. Clairsville, was a guy that he used to work in the mine with, and he has a powder coating shop. That's what he's doing now after he quit. And he's like, you got to see his oven. Okay. He's like, yeah, it's like 25 feet long. I'm like, dude, I don't even know. He's like, yeah, he does like boat trailer frames and
Oh my
all this shit.
word.
I'm like, I don't even
I
want.
mean, that would be cool, but imagine trying to heat that oven up to like do a set of wheels, like, good Lord.
Matt, you're right. I should do that or just test it or whatever. But I'm just trying to catch up now. So yeah, it'll get done when it gets done. I mean, I have those headers for your dad here that I still have to get done. I got the Cerakote in today, so yeah, I'll worry. Like if it shuts down again, yeah, we'll investigate again. But for now, I think we'll just keep on trucking and see what happens.
Fingers crossed that she is good.
Let's see. Okay, side things. What else we got? So I've been waiting for that little YCF mini GP to come out, and it's in at Pony now.
Yeah, what are they calling them? Like a GP 107, GP 187?
It's
Because I know they have the 3 engines in them, just like the others. They have like the little 110, the 160, like the O'Valleys, the 110, 160, and 190. But the 190 is the only good one, like the Daytona engine.
Yeah, so I mean it's just the YCF, GP, and then whatever motors in it or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So I mean they are the Daytona 190 is what's in the.
That's the good one.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't want the 110 or the 160 even.
The 160 is good, man. I wouldn't. I know you like all the power, but until you would ride one of these, like the Bucci I had that had the 190 in it, dude, that's a lot of power, man. That's like in a frame that small. Mine had 10-inch wheels, not the 12s now, but the
what size wheels did Thomas's have on his?
12s.
Because I mean, yeah, that thing. I mean, it only had, what did it have, 13 and a half or something like that when I was done with it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was pretty aggressive feeling for sure. So like, I know you don't need a lot of power. It's just obviously that's what I go for. Like that's.
Yeah, and like my little Bucci, dude, like what I could compare to. I mean, obviously it's not the same, but if you put it in perspective, like it'd be like jumping on a new V4R, like. It's just so much power, 25 horsepower and something that weighs nothing, and it's on 10-inch wheels, which is it's just ultra twitchy. But these seem to be so the 160, I would be okay with that. The 190 obviously be faster. Once you get used to it, it'd be good. But
so I've done a little bit with the 150 engine, Brett. Not the 155, and I don't know if the 155 is what is in the 160. Is that what they're calling the 160? Does it have the 155 engine?
It's a 157.
Okay.
They call it.
Is that what the YCF like 155 SM was? Was it the 157?
Yeah, probably the same thing.
Because I did a little bit of work on the older 150, and they're just terrible. Like they just do not make power. They don't respond well to mods. Like,
On what 150? On the YCF?
Yeah, the
Okay.
YCF. Yeah.
Now, I bought a motor, a Daytona 150. I ended up selling it because I got a smoking deal on this thing on eBay. I paid, what did I pay for? I think I paid like $500 shipped. And the Kickstarter shaft was broke. And the guy sent the shaft and the gaskets with it. He just bought another motor, whatever. So that motor claimed was like 20 out of a 150
Yeah.
two valve, and with like their cam kit and stuff, they're supposed to make like 21. So, and that's a Daytona motor,
Yeah.
which they don't make that motor anymore. You can buy, I think, a 4-valve 160 or something, but that would be a good motor to put in one of those. Because like the cheaper 160s, they're kind of trash.
Yeah, the
but-
little monkey motor engines that are in like half of the Chinese stuff, the little 110s and stuff like that. Like they're not very good. But like if you can find anything that is a 4-valve setup, like what you just said you were talking about there, like 4-valve is just so incredibly good for making horsepower.
So this says that it's the 157 is a 155 Zongshen.
Yeah, so that must be the same one. What's up, Andrew?
But I still, we're gonna go check them out.
But yeah, I didn't do anything with that 155. I don't know how different it is from the 150. But yeah, we'll have to see how they fit and stuff.
Yeah, because talking to Derek at Pony today, messaged me, showed me a picture of it and stuff, and I was asking him relative size wise, and he said it's a little bit bigger than an NSR 50 or YSR 50, and the KOs are kind of like that. I mean, that's basically an NSR or NSF, but they have the adult tail section on them. So if it's a little bit bigger than that, then it would be a lot easier to ride than like the ovals for sure. More room, and even if it's better than the KO, because the KO is not bad, even though it's a small bike, you don't feel super cramped on it. But if it's bigger than that, that'll be even better. And
Andrew said the 155 is a lot better than the 150. And I know there's a couple guys down there that have the YCF 155, so maybe it is. Tell one of them to bring it up so we can dyno it and see what it does, Andrew. Brett. What do you mean it takes out the stability on them? Can you go into a little more detail or rephrase that?
you probably mean reliability, maybe?
I don't know. We shall wait and see. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see if those 155s are a lot better. I mean, still, it was 13 and a half. Too much power for the chassis. I mean, definitely you can run into that. Like he was just saying with the 190 Daytona, like when you've got 25 horsepower in that little guy, like for sure it can get a little wild. Like I'm always going to be the person that preaches power just because that's what I do, I mean, nobody needs to listen to my advice, but I'm always going to try to get the most power out of like anything I touch. And so if something doesn't make good power, then I dislike it. But you really don't need that much, There's plenty of, well, I mean, if we're talking like OMRL stuff, like mini bike racing, like there's plenty of low power competitive stuff, if you can ride the bike good enough. Like Andrew's still running his yeah, so like Andrew was running the CRF 110 engine for the longest. Well, I mean, technically, as far as I know, he's still running the CRF 110 engine, but it's big bore now. Yeah, he was running the 110 engine, and yeah, I had cam and piston, and I ported the head and whatnot. But still, it was only like a 14 horsepower engine. But he's really, really competitive on it. Even better now, since he did a little bigger bore, it kind of just bumped up the mid-range pretty much everywhere.
Andrew, when are you gonna start to put your big boy pants on and come out to the big tracks with us?
Hey, Austin. Andrew won't come to the big bike tracks. He likes the little bikes.
I said, dude, come out. You can ride my Ninja, the 300. I don't know about that. Oh, come on, man. I mean, you're quick on a mini.
He's got a 150R now.
Who, Farkas?
Yeah.
Well, still,
I think it's on 17s, so he's at least riding something with 17-inch wheels.
Come on, Flick's out there. He's on R3. Come out, play around with us.
So Brett, I'm not too familiar with moto stuff, so I can't quite say how minis with big power go on the track. I mean, I would think you would want more power to a point. I mean, obviously you don't want to stick a 450 engine in a 110 chassis, but like,
You could.
it's kind of like a two-stroke. Just start riding the clutch.
Well, good. Farkas, 24 will be the year. What are you going to be out on? You were lurking around on the 660 page forever.
Don't do it.
What?
What?
Oh, 660 is awesome bike. And if you want to take my bike out for a couple laps and putz around, see if you like it, and then you'll buy one.
Definitely don't do that, because then you'll be like, wow, I want a 660, and you'll buy it, and it'll be nothing like what you just rode.
Yeah, you'll be a
until
tad
you put
disappointed.
$20,000 into it.
But it's, yeah.
No, the 660 is a good bike. They've got their quirks, but they really, really came out swinging. Like, for the class they're in, you can essentially take a stock 660. Arguably, you'd want to put suspension on it before you did it, but like stock engine 660 is plenty powerful to go run twins. Like,
for sure.
It's big.
Yeah, especially in like Weir and stuff where it's mostly SV650s, you'll just trounce those.
And just R7s and stuff.
Yeah, you'll
like a brand
trounce
new
those
R7, you're 20-wheel horsepower on them. There's no competition there. And the R7's nice if you put money into it, but like if you take both bikes out there bone stock, you'll just run circles around the R7 on an equivalent rider.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I would say is like, I wouldn't even say that. I mean, suspension-wise, I'd say maybe the R7 has a leg up, like stock for stock, but I don't even think that.
Neither of them are good, but I would say that the 660 is probably marginally better. Yeah. But even if they're the same suspension, you still have another 20-wheel on the the 660.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I had suspension sitting here before I even got my bike in, so like it was shit. I knew it. I was gonna get rid of it anyways, but that's why I have a bike that I'll never be able to sell. So because it's got way too much money into it, but
you can sell it. You'll just take a big old hit.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen because I like it too much.
Did Ryan sell his? Did that sell?
I don't know, but his is a pretty good deal.
Was it $35K?
I can't remember.
I thought it was.
But now, so I saw Brandon Floyd, a guy I know from Colorado. I mean, Veloce Racing basically built his bike. Kind of built it too, but same shit. Built, motor, ported head, no cams or anything, but blah, blah, blah. Kind of comparable to Sean Smith's, Ryan. But Ryan's had a lot of his carbon development stuff on it, like the tank extender and fender and winglets.
He's got that big snorkel kit on it.
Yeah, and his carbon airbox. So he had a lot of stuff, which, yeah, it costs a lot of money, but that was his kind of prototype bike to build those parts and make money anyways. But Brandon was selling his for, I think, for like $25, so a little bit better deal. And then now I just saw pop up the last couple of days, like basically a MA ready-to-go bike, just not built motor, like not ported head, no motor internals, nothing touched.
Yeah.
And was 16.5.
That's not bad.
Full suspension, chain adjusters, all the bolt-on nice shit. And it's a good price, I think. I know what it costs.
As long as it doesn't have like 4,000 miles on it, because then it's just ready to explode.
It probably doesn't have that many miles on it, but now mine's bulletproof.
As long as we keep refreshing it.
Yeah, which we're not going to do this year because I don't feel like it. But
I can tell you that those camshaft bolts are torqued.
That's good because, I don't know if anybody, a lot of people I talked to, but when he pulled my motor apart, I was at home and he's like, yeah, this isn't good. And he sent me a couple pictures of the cam gear bolts. One cam gear bolt was backed out of the cam, and it was just grinding a nice groove in the valve cover. And the last person to touch that bike and install those bolts would be Robum Engineering. So they did a good job for what they fixed in the first place, which was Pony's fault for the bike had a recall as soon as they came out for like incorrect valve shims, which it really not incorrect valve shims. The retainers, no bucket, not retain, the top hat.
Yeah, I think it was the retainer it was just a different height.
Yeah, it was machined incorrectly. So then they made specially cut shims for those to make it right.
Yeah, basically like a Band-Aid fix because they screwed up. Like it was
which
stupid.
fixed that when we did the motor. But, yeah, so I gave it to them because I had transmission issues, and they polished transmission and shift star and blah, 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 some new detent spring and et cetera. And they were like, hey, he called me, Matt Spicer, the owner of Robum. He was like, have you been inside the motor? And I was, no, it had probably 300 miles on it. I'm like, no. I mean, the only person who's ever touched the bike is Pony, and that was before I got it. Like, before I could receive it, they had to do the recall. And he's like, yeah, well, the exhaust camshaft is retarded 1 degree. So the whole time I had it for the first year, well, maybe a little bit more than first year, whatever it was, the bike was making like 20 wheel horse or 15 wheel horse less. So they set the timing correct. And, yeah, I noticed a big difference. At Nelson, it picked up. What did I tell you? It picked up like 12 mile an hour, 15 mile an hour in the back straight at Nelson, which is crazy. So, yeah, there's a guy that I rode up there with, and he has pretty much, at that time, the exact same setup as I did. Maybe different parts, but still exhaust filter, et cetera. And there's actually 2. So Gabbro's got active, and so does, what's the company that always makes it?
Are you talking about Stax?
Yeah.
Oh,
that European company?
Darn it. Yeah, they do.
They're like $1,500.
I think Factory Superbikes
sells them.
Is like the front for them. Oh, yeah. What is their name?
I'll look it up.
Stringer or something like that?
Yeah.
Stringer Stacks?
Yeah.
Yeah, so actives are cool. I've actually been working on a set of prototype actives.
Yes, Stringer.
Yeah, Stringer. Yeah, so
It's $1,475.88, pretty much, no matter what stacks they are. It doesn't matter if it's the Aprilia is $1,500 and it's 2. Any inline is $1,500 and there's 2 stacks. So just FYI, those are ridiculous.
So I've actually tested the Stringer R1 stacks and they sucked. But pretty much every stack that I've ever tested on the R1 sucks.
Wait, he's saying active throttle bodies, or are you talking stacks or throttle bodies?
So he said active TBs, but I feel like he's got to be talking about the stacks inside.
Got to be.
And he said Stringer there. So, but yeah, so the actives are good. There's no denying that. The only thing that I'll say about actives is, in some applications, you don't need the actives, right? So the actives are going to give you a better power curve. They're gonna give you more. So it depends on what the factory stacks or what an aftermarket set of stacks are designed for. But like, for example, let's just say the GSX-R 1000, the new 17 Plus GSX-R 1000, right? I make a set of stacks for it. They're very, very low profile, and the bike doesn't lose any bottom end or mid range or anything, but it helps it hold the power and peak longer. And so it peaks about 400 RPMs longer, and then it holds it out another 600 RPMs or so before it really, really starts falling. Anyways,
you know what else does that? Cams.
Ooh, yeah. But so with the actives, again, if you have a stack that wants to make power up top, you put some actives in it, and you'll make better mid range. But you're really not going to pick up any top end power, because the lower part of the active is going to be, it should be designed to peak, within that RPM limit, right? So if the reflective waves are coming back and you're peaking at 13.8 on an R1 and it revs to 14.1, okay, cool. You put those actives in there, which obviously Yamaha did, and you get a bunch of mid-range out of it. But if you didn't have the actives, you would still get a big top end, you would just have poor mid-range, kind of like a ZX10, right? A ZX10 doesn't have actives in it. It has just standard bell mouths. They're very short, and it produces a lot of top-end power. Like, they're screamers, but they're very lacking in the low and mid-range. So yeah, I mean, actives are sweet, but they're not like, you know, you're not gonna go spend $1,500 and your bike is the best bike ever, you know.
Hey, Conrad, since I'm probably gonna go ride Mid Ohio now that it's actually repaved, like that's the new talk everybody's talking about because the
Oh,
pictures are
yeah.
up. It looks good. We'll see. But you're gonna have to tow me around because never being there, I definitely want to try to maybe race at Vintage Days this year. So
They had this huge bump in the carousel, and I wonder if they paved out of it or if they just laid.
well, if you read it,
over
they dug out a lot of shit.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. So they probably fixed that.
There was a lot of concrete in the Keyhole and Thunder Valley too, and then like I said, there was this huge dip in the carousel that you'd always like hit, and it would just like felt so wrong. But that's like where you'd go through. You could dodge it, but you had to have your tires almost on the rumble strips, like going through. It's basically like a late apex in the carousel, right? You kind of come in tight, fall out, and then come back in for a later apex. And if you can nail it, you can get on the inside of that. Oh, Conrad said the bump's gone.
Yeah. So I was getting ready to look at this read because you were saying all these things, and they had talked about exactly what it was. They said.
Oh, I never read the article.
Let's see. It says. Where did it say? Okay, maybe I'm not seeing it. There was
Well,
somewhere
we'll just hope it's all fixed.
Well, it's supposed to be, and I mean, I'm sure it will be.
I mean, Coda was supposed to be good too. It was a brand new track with nice paving, but you know,
Well, yeah, they
nope.
jacked that up.
Nobody
so.
liked that. Yeah, I mean, hopefully it'll be sweet. Hopefully I can put a bike together and maybe go do a track day this year.
Yeah, Andrew, if you read the article, like I just looked it up on Road Racing World, but it's not the article I read before. I can't remember where I read it, but they talked about this specially designed aggregate they came up with specifically for Mid Ohio, and I guess they a spot they fixed earlier this year, or they patched in or whatever. They used that to test, and then got feedback from like riders, racers, and then some other testing outside of like on track stuff, but in-house, whatever that testing they would do. But so yeah, I mean, it should be good. I'm cool. I'll ride it now as long as it's not like it was. And I never even rode it, and I just heard so many horror stories. I'm like, fuck that, I ain't going. And gonna get into that. And
basically, it had to be like at least 70 with no overcast. Like if
Yeah.
it was 70 plus and the sun was out, it was great. You could ride all day and it was fun. But if it was overcast or like 60 degrees out, oof, you were not setting any PBs. You were just fighting.
Oh no. Well, you haven't ridden on big track, Farkas, but yeah, you're right. Like you go to Jennings and that track's fucking completely flat, and I don't know what they put in it, but
It's like seashells.
yeah, it just destroy your tire. But man, it's all the grip. It doesn't
Yeah.
even matter. And Nelson's really grippy. Conrad, the surface was fine. Yeah, okay, you say so, buddy.
Other than when it was cold. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, overcast, cool. God forbid there's a mist or a dew. Woof.
So yeah, Jennings is like it's grip no matter what, and Nelson's really good when it's cold too. Like surprisingly, like I feel like it has more grip than Pitt when it's cold. I mean, that's just my, like, I can go out and rip on first lap if it's 40 degrees, but pit, and I mean, if it's like 50 in the morning and or mid 50s or whatever in the summer, it's a little you gotta watch that first lap or so. But
we rode Putnam on the first repave of it, and
did you crash in Dead Bear?
No, that was Chris.
Oh yeah.
Remember the
Yeah.
puck?
Yeah.
The crazy
The
puck
puck.
story. Good God. But no, we rode there like right after the repave, and we rode it in the rain. And it was nice. Like it was grippy. We didn't go crazy, and I didn't have reins, so I wasn't like ripping or anything like that. But like you weren't just falling down riding around on the track. So
Yeah, and I mean, as long as you just watch, what is that, 8? Is Dead Bear 8 or 9? Whatever it is,
Yeah.
as long as you watch that in the morning, then because that's always a little green there.
yeah.
And the way it's pitched, if it rains at all, it just washes off. But yeah, I mean that track's still not bad.
That's the trouble corner though, because you just come out of that 90-degree, in low gear, and just punch it, and before you know it, you're going downhill turning, and you're like, ah, oh my God.
Yeah, I've watched a few people run off there just fucking straight. Yeah,
Yeah.
just like didn't even make the corner.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know. I wasn't the biggest fan of Putnam, but I think that's just because I'm not the biggest fan of that style of track. Like I like a real technical, not a real flowing. Like obviously I like Mid Ohio. I love NCM, but I don't know anybody that doesn't like NCM.
yeah.
I don't know anybody that's went to NCM that isn't like, wow, that was the best track ever.
Yeah, and like,
I mean, if you went and rode Barber, then you probably are like, well, Barber's better.
Yeah.
But like, or Laguna because it's just so iconic, right? But
Pitt's
like,
really technical too, and like, before I rode it was like, I'd be like, hey, to go to NCM. They're like, I mean, Pitt is really technical. I'm like, I haven't ridden it yet, but whatever. And I rode it, and it's really, really good. Pitt's got way more elevation and some blind stuff, but I still think some of the corners, like in a technical aspect, are a little bit tougher at NCM. I mean, I don't know about overall, but there's just some stuff that like, Pitt, you can kind of get through some of the more technical corners and learn them like pretty quick, but for the most part, like NCM is going to take you, if you're not like a superstar where you can pick up shit really quick, which I'm not, but it'll take you a day. Most people,
yeah.
it'll take you a day to learn it and get it in your head and kind of figure it out. And then the next day you can kind of start getting going on it. But
So the first time we went to NCM was hilarious. So we go down there, and I went with Mark and Rusty when Rusty was coaching with Track Day Winter, and they invited us down to help, coach or whatever you want to call it. And I never ridden there, right? So they were running the groups. Intermediate, advanced, novice. So intermediate's out first, then advanced, and then last is novice, right? And so we throw our gear on, and we go out in intermediate, and we ride around, and we're learning the track and, whatnot. Come back in, and they're like, all right, you got to get your jerseys on. You got to go. Like, they're going out in novice, go. And I'm like, oh, my God, okay. And I throw my jersey on, and I get back on the bike, and I go out there, and I get out there before, they release them from pit lane. And they start releasing them, and we start going out, and I'm just like, holy hell, these guys are fast. What is going on? Like,
I think you told me this story before.
yeah, because I've had one 20-minute session on the track, right? And it's what, 3 miles with 24 turns, I've had one 20-minute session, right? And I go out there, and I am just like, I'm using everything I got to just, like, keep up with these guys. And I'm like, dude, I'm pathetic. Like, what is wrong with me? And I actually drove off a little bit after the bus stop at that blind, right? Went up over the rumble strips and everything, and I get back in, and they're just dying laughing, and they're like, "Hey, you have to go back out. That was actually advanced." And I was like, oh my God. I was like, well, that explains why they were that fast. And then I, just went out again. So first time we were there, I did a full hour first thing in the morning, just back to back to back, and almost died in advance because go out there. It's novice. Have fun.
And like, it doesn't matter what time of the season it is hot as fuck down there.
Oh man.
If it's the middle of summer, dude, it's like 95.
Yeah, we were down there during one of those like heat waves.
Yeah.
Where the heat index is like 130 or something like that.
It wasn't this year. It was last year. I went with Kiggins, and we were both like, dude, it's like we're cutting it at lunch. It's just too fucking hot.
The worst thing is when it gets red flagged and you have to go back and sit in pit.
Oh, it's
because like
I just go into pit. I mean, screw that, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting out here.
When you sit in the pits and you have a fan on you, it's insane how cool it is, right? Like when you can have a full suit on and you have a fan in your face.
I don't know. I have AC in my camper.
Well,
So,
okay.
just sitting that.
Okay.
So.
Anyways, it's surprising how cool it is when you're just sitting there with a fan on you. And then you throw your gear on and you drive down and you're sitting in pit lane for 2-3 minutes or something. It's not that bad. You get hot and then you take off and you're good. But man, when you get half the session done, you're sweating, you're hot, and then you come in on a red flag and you're just sitting there on the asphalt waiting. It's like, okay, I'm going to get a heat stroke and die.
Oh, it's brutal, dude. It's really brutal. Like, even, I mean, it didn't matter. There's really, really bad, but, anytime, like, especially during rear races and shit, you do your lap, and always try to put in a quick lap, make sure the tires are still really warm and stuff, and then I'm sitting there on the grid like, Jesus fucking Christ, come on, everybody. Let's fucking go. Like, I don't want to sit here anymore. It's just too fucking hot. But yeah, that's good times down there. NCM's a blast, and I usually try to go like 2-3 times a year, and now it's down to 1 because all my friends quit riding for the most part. You guys all suck. So, hauling my big-ass camper down there, it's freaking expensive. So if anybody wants to go to NCM next summer, I got spot and a big-ass camper. So
I used to go to all the track day winter ones.
Conrad,
because I could ride for free. But
if you're still on here, have you been to NCM, Conrad? If you haven't, then get with me and we need to go next year.
Feel free to throw questions on as well, guys.
Yeah, we're just rambling. So
yeah, we'll just talk about all kinds of nonsense. But if you have a question or you want to comment on something, feel free to send it our way.
So, where we go to next? We got to talk about the. Well, I'm same thing, Conrad. Like whenever, man. Like, let me know whenever so Fastline's going to be, I think, the only one running next year because I don't think Track Day Winter's going to be running there.
Well, Track Day Winter quit. Like John disposed of it basically.
Yeah. Well, so did Midwest because that's Fastline now.
Yeah.
So it's only going to be Fastline, but.
So Raphael actually is doing. I think it's called Precision Track Days now.
And they're going to run there?
I don't know if they're going to run there, but he started one. I don't know if he's kind of like taking over Track Day Winter and rebranding it like what Fastline kind of did, or if he's just totally his own thing. I'll have to ask him, but I don't know if he'll go to NCM or not.
Well, yeah, we'll figure out whenever the dates get released and stuff. We'll figure it out, and if you want to go, we'll just – whatever is a good date that works for you that, and then I'll try to work around that because I can kind of maneuver some as long as I'm not like coaching up at Nelson or whatever, but we'll figure it out. We got to talk about the Race 2 World Superbike. That was epic shit. If anybody watches Superbike, that was probably the best race in the last 10 years or something. Maybe not, I don't know. But it was
– I mean, in the last couple years, it has definitely been the best. Like,
yeah, Jesus.
There's been in every category, like Moto America, it's just Gagne, and Superbike, like Ray's won a whole bunch of them, then Top Rack and Batista, and so like it hasn't been too much like changed up. And GP Mark for a while, and while Mark's been out of it, they've just kind of been trading and whatnot. But yeah, this last Superbike race was just epic. Like it really just showed how good Top Rack was. Like he is amazing, especially on the front end. Like I'm not even sure how he does what he does on the front end.
Yeah, I mean, just how, especially we were talking about the one to whatever lap it was where he was, he came from fucking 30 yards back
Yeah, it was insane.
and just outbroke Batista. It was unfucking believable. Like, I really didn't think he was going to make the corner.
No,
and
not at all. You're like, there's no way. This is just, it's one of those dive bombs that they do, and they get up underneath them, and they pass them for a second, and then they go extremely wide, and the guy just cuts it back and
Yeah.
drives away from him. But, like, he didn't. He somehow pulled it down into the apex. Like,
just stuck it, and it was just like, what the fuck
Unbelievable.
just happened? Yeah. And the whole race, Batista's just trying to put a move on him, and in the typical spots he would pass, and then he has to try to get braver and do it in some corners that you typically don't pass in, and it didn't matter. He put a pass on, and Toprak just shoved it up underneath him. If there was an inch, he took it, and it was just like, Jesus, man, like, dude was just fighting for everything, and
he just kept standing him up.
Yeah,
He's like, here I go, get out of my way.
I think the reason why is because the start finish was so close to that last corner that he was
Yeah.
like, okay, I got a shot. Because
for
if it
sure.
was, mid down the straight or three
Yeah,
quarters
like
down the
Portimao.
Yeah,
Like
he
race
would-
2 Portimao. It was really good, but
Yeah.
like you knew that as soon as they got on the straight, Batista's just going to drive past him.
yeah, he
There's
would have
nothing
to
he could
put
do.
so much of a gap on him before the last,
He would have to do
sector
Do
that-
you remember Mark versus Fabio? When Mark like just barely rolled off the gas in the corner and made Fabio basically stand it up and run wide.
Right. Yeah.
That's what he'd have to do to get to win on the front straight.
And but for the Yamaha, it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? Like, he can't do that to Bautista, because if he parked it, the Yamaha is a corner speed bike.
Oh,
the
yeah,
Ducati's
for
going to
sure.
outrun him, so he just can't. You can't use that. You know what I mean? You'd have to do something to where
It'd have to really mess him up.
you have to push him way offline.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if that, because I mean, the Ducati can just make up so much ground. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. But on the brakes, he's got not. I mean, nobody's got anything on top rack.
I bet you it would be. I don't know. It'd be really, really cool to look at his data, like the brake data that they show.
Fucking hell,
you
yeah.
know?
I'm like, I think about spring rates, and I'm like, dude, I wonder what fucking spring
It's
rates.
got a
he-
1.8 in there, like it's
Just-
it's just a brick basically.
Just it's so crazy, and I mean, 80% of the time or maybe 90%, it's always good. But there's those we talked about couple races where the feeling's not there, and yeah, you just see it like. He's just not on the brakes like he is. I mean, he's using them, but he's just not driving deep like that. But when it's on and the bike's good, crazy. Speaking of bike setup, I don't know if you saw this, whatever, where they were talking about, I don't know if it was this last GP race or the one before, where they were talking about Martin has not messed with his setup in like 6 or 7 races.
Wow, that's
Because they found it, the feeling, and he's like, this is good, and they haven't touched it. Like, I don't know any other rider, GP rider, that's not fucked with their setup. But the dude's like, it works, and, like, the way they were talking is like, he says, like, okay, I know what it feels like, and I can work around it if there's issues.
Yeah.
So, like, he knows what it's supposed to be, and if there's an issue, he could just work around that. But, like, that's just crazy, because everybody else is like, no, let's work around it as far as adjust the suspension to meet the track, where he's just like, nah, this is the baseline, we're staying with that, and then I'll do the rest.
I think he's playing a really, really cool character. When he says, like, I don't care about the championship, I'm a satellite rider, I'm not supposed to win the championship. But I think outside of the public's eye, in the media, he's like freaking out inside, like, dude, I could win this championship. I don't want to chance, like, I don't want to chance anything. I don't want to throw something weird in there and I screw up and I'm not fast. He's probably like, this setup works good and I am fast on it. Let's keep going. Like,
Yeah,
let's see what I can do.
And there's not just the championship thing, which I'm sure that's a huge part of it, but there's also that thing of like, yeah, I bet you wish you picked me instead of Anea. You know what I mean? Like, showing them.
It's always going to come back to that, and it sucks because I wish we could have saw what Anea could do this year.
Yeah,
you
he
know?
got fucked. He got real screwed in the beginning, and it sucks. And hopefully next year he'll be back up there because he was a fighter. He was just as big a fighter as Martin was.
I mean, like he showed a better season than Martin did, which is why Ducati picked him. Like
Yeah.
I would have picked him too. Like he was riding the Grassini bike, and
And
he was doing better than factory riders.
And
it was
he's-
like, wow, okay.
He's very similar in the aspect to Martin, where he's ultra aggressive. Where Pecco is more thought out, and I mean he can be aggressive on certain things, but he's very he's got a plan, and it's very tactical. Where Martin and Anea are both very like just send it, like fire it in and whatever. But
we were just talking about this the other day, a friend of mine and me, and because he was asking, he's like, who do you think's gonna win, Pecco or Martin? And I'm like, well, Pecco's smarter, but Martin's faster, and so
yeah,
it's hard to say. If nothing went wrong, I think Martin wins because he's faster. He's just
but he
keeps
is
being
learning
faster.
though.
Yeah, no, he's definitely learning
Because
for
he
sure.
fucked himself, he screwed himself the last two races, but
Well-
the one with the tire choice was really bad.
Well, Promix said that was their fault.
Yeah, well, they could say what they want,
Yeah,
but
they
I mean,
were like, hey, we wanted to.
in the end, the rider's going to be like,
Yeah.
no, I want this tire.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I agree, definitely. He is learning. But, like, at the moment, if nothing bad happens, I think Martin wins because he's faster. But it's racing. Like, you never know what's going to happen.
yeah, and old Bender. I mean,
Dude, Bender's such a snake in the grass,
he
man.
is. He's a fucking beast. When he's on, man. He can fight with the best of them. And that was a good GP race. That was probably one of the better ones this year. To see them fighting it out, and like Bender was just putting it to him, man.
Yeah.
It's just the Ducatis have that little something extra that the KTMs just don't have yet.
It's so close, though.
It is,
KTM's
but
not far.
again, like I think with the amount of bikes Ducati have on the grid, it helps them out with the data, and now KTM's got 4 bikes.
Yeah.
So next year it'll get better, and Aprilia hopefully too, because like they just Jesus fucking Christ, it's just nonstop it's like I mean it's real life, like they're bikes that you buy right out of the dealership. You get them home and it's an electrical problem or some kind of mechanical or whatever, and that's the same thing. Like they can't complete a race because their ride height or launch control or whatever bullshit is just stopped working or whatever, and like Ducati must have got all the really good Italian engineers,
That start device that Martin's got, it
Oh,
works.
it's the shit, man.
It works good.
But I was surprised that, like, he didn't get that insane lightning start.
He had a little bit of a wheelie.
Yeah.
Like it bobbled a little bit on him in that last one. So maybe they didn't have enough practice starts or something to get it quite right. But when it is right, he just goes, man. It's like
That's ridiculous.
just crazy fast.
It still wasn't as good as Bender's start earlier this year.
Oh, where he passed like
Yeah, it was starting like
whole grid.
13th or something or 15th and passed the whole grid. Yeah.
I don't know. I liked Jack's where he waved to Pecco,
Oh yeah, yeah. That was great.
and then he went back to like 12th place on like the 3rd lap.
And
God bless him.
I think Vinales jumped the start this time, but he still shit the bed regardless. Usually he's shit start and then it's off from there. But yeah, it was. He actually got a even better start because he jumped the start and still shit. But Aprilia's kind of been not doing very hot, just all over the board, and it's just mechanicals and issues, but also Vinales sucks at starting. Like if he could have had better launches in a couple races, he probably would have been in it because he had good pace.
Yeah, for sure.
And especially on certain tracks and stuff. But
I don't know what it is with that guy though. Like he's blaming it on the Aprilia, but it's been that way for 3 manufacturers.
yeah, he's got a bad problem with just he's not a good race start, man. But
It's like a full fuel tank and launching just screws him up. But then like you give him 5 laps, everything is cooled down and ready to go, and then he rides great.
did you see Honda was trying to snag Luca Marini?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, and he fucking nah. turned him straight down. He's like, no way.
I bet you they put offers into everybody that's contract is coming
100%.
up. Everybody.
And right now all they got is Gian Antonio.
Yeah.
So they still have Mark's seat to fill. But I'm curious to who they're going to snag. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, with
It doesn't
Digi
matter.
and
They're gonna suck.
Digi's proved himself really good at the end of the season, but he's going to not.
That's on a Ducati.
Yeah, he's not going to do super hot next year, and they're going to be screwed. Because, I mean, the only person that's really going to do anything for him is Taka. He can consistently run above last place, which is big.
I mean, Taka's like always fighting with Frankie, you know, and it's like,
Yeah, but he's wrecked the least this year in
Really?
in race.
okay.
He's finished more races than probably any other Honda rider. So,
I mean, certainly Juan Mir. He's finished like 1,
yeah, and Mark's finished
2.
2, yeah.
No, he's
So-
finished more than that, but yeah, it's
Not
it's
Sunday
not-
races. He only finished 2 Sunday races.
I would
He's
give him
finished more
than 2.
sprints.
He's got to have like 3 or 4 Sundays. I know he doesn't have a lot of Sundays, but he's got to have 3 or 4 Sundays.
Yeah.
Because after Sachsenring, he kind of like
Gave up.
quit,
Was like, yeah, I'm not going to push.
He's
but
like, I'm not going
unless he
hyper-aggressive
unless he
anymore.
sees that he has some kind of opportunity.
Yeah,
But
he doesn't just go out there and just throw it every
yeah,
lap.
because he
like,
ruined like 10 people's careers this year in the beginning. So
you know, Aeneas and the other RNF rider. What was his name? Miguel.
yeah, Miguel. Yep.
Yeah. And almost his own. I mean, he broke a thumb and a couple ribs.
He
I
was
think.
involved with Paul Espargo, was he?
No, because Pole drove off and hit that wall
Oh,
in
yeah,
like
yeah,
race 1 or something like that, and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
broke his back and really, really hurt himself. Yeah, we do, Rick. We were just talking about that. We were talking about it before we started this up of putting some decals on the wall here and everything like that, so it looks a little nicer than just a silver background.
We're getting there. First was improve the audio and video, which I
Yeah.
think from my end it sounds good. So far we've got no complaints. It's a lot better than it was before. It was echoey and all that bullshit, and I think we've solved that issue. So then next is maybe a little bit of visual enhancement. What was I gonna say? For World Superbike, we got Iannone back.
Dude, he must have been doing track days like crazy and with nobody watching.
Yeah, because it's like he hasn't fell off at all.
he's fast.
Yeah.
And we know he wasn't racing because he wasn't allowed to.
Right.
But I can't see any reason why he couldn't just buy an R1 and go ride a track day, right?
Well,
Like,
there's performance-enhancing drugs.
right? But
I don't even know I can't remember what he was on.
well, he said it was something that he was eating. Like it was in some kind of food that he was eating.
Nah,
That's what he was saying.
Well, I heard that, and then I also heard it was a supplement that was legal, but it was contaminated with, you know what I mean? And that's actually a thing.
Did he get that supplement from Richard Stamboli?
Could be. But no, that is actually a thing where like you can buy like, because I saw some shit on this where they test this stuff because
You can buy Coke that's laced with fentanyl.
no. I think it was Rogan was talking about with UFC fighters where they'll buy these supplements that are just, you can buy that are non-banned substances, but they'll have trace amounts of things that, peptides or certain things in them. Well, I don't know about whatever. I don't know that shit, but whatever, certain substances that are legal and there'll be trace amounts of that stuff in there, and that's how it actually works. Is because it have that small trace amounts, but they just don't list it,
Yeah.
and then it'll hit you on on your tests and stuff. So I heard that was one of the things, but I don't know if that's
I
true.
can't
or not.
believe he got banned for as long as he did.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and
Like a couple races, maybe a season, but like 4
Yeah.
seasons.
Yeah, Fanati, the guy who grabbed the
Grabs a
dude's lever.
brake lever.
Yeah, he was back in a season. Like
Crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like, dude tried to kill somebody, and he's welcomed back.
Yeah,
This guy did some naked modeling with some steroids.
yeah.
He's not allowed to ride.
Maybe he was doing OnlyFans when he was off. I don't know.
I don't know. Whatever he was doing, it kept him in riding, shape because I think he was 5th overall in
Yeah,
the test.
and testing is whatever, but still, I mean, you can
Right.
still see some speed, and like for him to be up in that after that long off, like you said, like that's
And it's on a Go
crazy.
11. It's on the Go 11 bike. Like, it's still a Ducati, and it's still good, but it's not like he has factory support, and
Right.
he's got factory engineers right there, like, you know.
And it's a bike
prepping
that he
everything.
hasn't been on. You know what I mean?
Well, so-
Well,
well, that's what I was
well,
saying,
we
we
don't
don't
know
know.
that,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, he
maybe.
could be on a V4.
So Ducati may have been like, hey, listen, you're banned. Stay in shape. And
Here's a
then
bike.
when the time comes,
Yeah.
if you're still good, we'll put you on a team somewhere. And so he's just been rocking a V4R for the past 4 years, just ripping it up on track days.
He definitely. I mean, he has to be, right? I mean, like
There's
you don't.
there's no way you don't ride for 4 years
Yeah.
and you come out and get 5th in the test. Like, there's just no way.
Yeah, that's.
He had to have been burning up the track days, and good for him. Like, I think it'll be awesome. Like, I hope he comes back into like old Iannone, you know, and just
Yeah,
tears it up.
and which is good because like Petrucci looked strong this last race, so that's promising. And Gerloff, our little American boy over there doing work, he was
God bless him.
man putting in some work on that. So hopefully next year, like, and we'll see where they do with, you know, what rules come out for balancing next year because they got it, dude. They got to do.
It's-
They're
it's
gonna
so
do
goofy.
something. I mean, they did that when Redding was riding it, right? Or no, it was Bautista to begin with. They neutered the shit out of the V4R.
Yeah, but it wasn't with weight. It was just with revs.
Yeah, but still, it's
So
a
now,
lot.
Now they're doing revs and weight.
Um,
Well, I don't know what the revs will be reset, I think, at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to do some kind of balancing. So hopefully that puts things back a little bit. And also, let's hope that, God, I mean, there's no way. Yamaha's not going to develop. I mean, that bike's going to stay the same, unfortunately. Or it would have already been at ECMA, whatever it is.
Yeah, ECMA.
They would have had like, oh, the new R1. There would have been a lot of shit around it. But there's not. So it's going to be the same and just revamped a little bit. And
Yeah, they did that facelift in 20, right? And
Was
there's,
it?
There's minor differences to the engine, but nothing substantial. There's a facelift, a little bit of electronic changes, but that stuff doesn't matter anyways because they're not running those in Superbike.
right.
You know, it's all like aftermarket ECU and stuff. But yeah, I don't know what they're supposed to do. Like,
I also don't know, like, because, you know, I don't know. I don't read World Superbike rules or what they're allowed to do to change, like, away from the homologated version. You know what I mean? Like, obviously they can do some chassis stuff and swing arm and geometry and stuff, but, like, where does it go from there? Like, they can't be making huge changes. I mean, there could be little subtle things, could be airbox or exhaust or whatever, and but they're, you know, everybody's got to run. Is it Magnetti Morelli Electronics or whatever it is?
I don't know what the standard is in Superbike right now. I mean, there is a standard that everybody has to run, and I would think it's Morelli, but I honestly don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, like, they haven't made a new model. They haven't made changes. They haven't done in GP either. The Cowie's new bike looks to be promising. It's not a huge iteration, but it's a leap forward. It's a step forward.
I mean, it's a step forward only because it didn't step backwards, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, the engine's the same. You know, the fairing has aero in it now, which I'm sure does help, but, like, that's about it. Like,
Right.
you know, they're still rocking the same engine as they designed in 19, which is really very similar to 16. It just has a better cylinder head on it. Actually, well, okay, don't quote me. I don't know what the 10RR changes were. Because the 10RR has a different cylinder head compared to the R. But in 19, they redesigned the cylinder head, made it finger follower, so on and so forth. And so I don't know if there's two versions of that red top for the RR and the standard R. Obviously, the bottom end is different. They use the single ring pistons. They use the Pankel titanium rods. But anyways, yeah, that bike's not really changing either. So, like, the Cowie's not going to get faster. The R1's not going to get faster.
The CBR's not getting any faster.
Well, the CBR's fast in mile per hour. It's just not fast around the track.
Yeah, but they don't make huge changes. Like BMW comes out like every couple of years and go like, oh, look at this, and it's a fucking completely different bike. Like,
Well, Honda did do that. It just didn't work out for them, right? Like,
Right,
they came
right.
out with a Triple R, which was, a ground up, like, redesign, and the bike is really good, and their trap speeds are really, really good. Like, it makes horsepower. It's a fast bike. It's just It's not getting around the track the way they want it to.
And maybe that's the problem. Like, so, you know, that's why Yamaha was so good for so long, and maybe Cowie too, and Superbike. We definitely see that in Moto America. But, like, so the basics, like, they may have done some increases, like in 19 or whatever, engine or whatever. There's little things. But the geometry of the bike, the chassis is kind of staying a little bit the same. So they can still collect a lot of data.
Yeah,
and
they've
improve.
got it figured out for however many years.
And Honda made the wild change, and it's like, okay, now they're adapting. And BMW is kind of the same way. Like, it seems like they do innovate, but they don't stay with it very long. They make some, like, more aggressive changes that are bigger, and then they're just chasing, trying to, like, figure it out.
Yeah,
But
it's strange because BMW has always had an incredibly good bike. It's always been super good. Like, you go back to 2010 with the S1000, and there was nothing that could compare to it, you know? But it wasn't winning.
yeah, and
then
like, it's
The new S1000 is phenomenal. The M1000 is amazing.
yeah, and that's going to be
But it's not
interesting
winning.
to see if, like, you put Top Rack on it, like, is it a good bike when he's on it?
Yeah.
Or, you know, is it still like it's a BMW thing? Because Top Rack will be able to make it work if, you know,
I hope.
if he can.
Yeah, hopefully. Because he definitely has showed where he's uncomfortable, he's not fast.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, you know, it's that.
But Cam jumped on it and did great.
Yeah, that's over
Can't-
here, though, but I think his level of just. He's got to level up on guys. You know what I mean? I think he has more experience with a little bit. I don't know, just different riders being in that over in Europe for so long. They're a lot more aggressive. And since he's already ridden and knows the tracks over here, and then bring that over here, helped him a lot. I think.
Yeah,
I
I
just
wouldn't
think he's got a
disagree
little
with
bit a skill level that's just a bump up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if the bike sucked, it's not going to work. But
Yeah.
I think the bike's good, and then him on it and the level that he's at, it just fucking improves it, you know. So, I mean, and you could see that right away with, like, you know, let's say Petrucci and Baz on the V4R. Like, the bike's good on Euro tracks, on Pirellis. They can fucking crush it, but they come over here on Dunlops and they don't know the tracks, and the tracks are kind of shit in comparison, and they don't do well. You know, they don't have any time or data. So,
Yeah.
damn, I think everybody got bored of us talking racing, or what the fuck?
I know. Sorry, guys. We can talk about something else.
We could, or we could just keep talking about racing. But yeah. What else? You got anything else there? We talked Superbike. We talked GP, which is exciting. When's the next GP race? Matt Hollenbaugh says BMW in other markets has always changed every 5-6 years. Always been on the tip of innovation. Most of the
Yeah, I mean
manufacturers
BMW, they are great. Like
in cars,
there's no question there, and they are on the front of innovation. Like even in bikes, like not cars, like
electronics, but I would say Ducati is definitely on the front of innovation for power. Like, their motto is like,
Yeah.
it's not fast enough. It doesn't make enough power. BMW is, I feel, is like more refined and more like electronically advanced. But
yeah,
like,
but BMW makes more power than almost all the Japanese stuff pretty handily.
yeah, it's true. But most Italian manufacturers or European manufacturers in general make more power than any Japanese.
Well, I mean, Aprilia cheats,
Still make more power.
but they can't race it.
Yeah, they don't care. So.
And then BMW genuinely does. See Connor Kawasaki all day. There you go, bud.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's better than Honda. So
I mean, I can't argue. Like Ducati, the V4R is phenomenal. Like that is the 1000cc bike. Like 16,500 RPMs on 1000cc. You can make a world of power.
why Honda does, like, they have the V4. They made a street version that cost an absurd amount of money, but now it's old tech. So why not take that and manufacture it into something that would be available to a normal consumer for the price that a Ducati's going for, 24 base up to fucking 40 for the or whatever if you want to do that. But like I would I would start to be interested in Honda again. Like for me, I know that you think completely different, but back in the day when they had the RC 51, Super Hawk, the VFR, the CBRs were like, they weren't middle of the road bikes. They were still like up in that upper echelon of power. So it's kind of around the same. But now they just took a like different approach where they didn't like the CBR RRR is different. Like they swung at the fence on that. That's cool. I'm happy they did that. The one before that, the SP2, it's the fucking same bike with Brembos. Everybody's been doing that for fucking years. But Honda used to like be so like forward thinking and be like, be a little radical and like build some really cool shit. And then all of a sudden, whatever year it was, I would probably say maybe like, I don't know, 04, 05, they were like, we're just going to step back. And like, it was more about like, we want to make sure when you get your bike, it's perfect. Like, it's not going to be the fastest, and it's not going to be the best handling, or it's not going to be this, but it's going to be right in the fucking middle. And if you go back and look at any like Sport Rider or motorcycle magazine, like Sport Bike magazine, I forget the guy's name who wrote for motorcyclists. Can't remember his name now, but he would always write these articles. It was hilarious because it was the same shit every time. It's like, you know, oh, the new Gixxer 1000 it's superb handling and like, you know, power is good. It's not the best in the category, but it's pretty good. The Kawasaki, power's insane. The corners handling, it's not as good as the Gixxer or whatever. The Honda, it's average. I mean, it's just right down the plate. Like, it's not bad, but it's not great. And that's just the way it is but everybody's like, well, it's reliable. But if, you buy a Ducati, you're like, Jesus Christ, this thing's fucking ridiculous. It's fast, it's loud, it's kind of a little, like, all over the place. They're probably the same way, but at the same time, you go, I don't know if I want to fucking own something that I have to spend, $5,000 or $3,000 every year to, like, maintain it. Or have it in the shop for 3-4 months at a time. They've changed that tune a lot from what it used to be.
Oh,
the services are extended. It's not as expensive to maintain them anymore, and the quality is better. But they're just, Honda's more like, we want to give you reliability. We want to give you a bike. You buy it. You can ride it, not have to worry about anything. You meet the nicest people on a Honda. But they don't, like, with the exception of the RRR, they just, and I know you're a big lover of the one, like the normal 1000, but it's just, there's something boring about them. Like the Cowie is not boring in comparison. The Gixxer 1000 is not boring in comparison, but like it's just been the last however many fucking years that it's just like, it's average. You have to build the Hondas, like you have to. And then Matt, it is not just peak power. The new S1000, it uses shift cam. And so I'm sure it's called something else on their cars, but it's two separate cam profiles, that literally moves the camshaft and runs a different lobe set, and so it has insane mid range. It has the best mid range for any 1000 cc. It's too big, honestly. Like it's too much mid range. It's crazy how strong it is in the middle. Is that why that the BMW sounds completely different from any other inline 1000? Like when I'm at the track and I hear inlines going down through there, I can tell when it's a BMW. The pitch of the exhaust doesn't sound like a normal inline. There's just something, it's weird, it's different about it, and I can tell when it's a BMW.
I'm not sure. I mean, like if it's a new one, they'll definitely sound different, especially when they have their changeover, where it changes cam profiles. But it gives them a crazy power curve. But yeah, like it's too much mid range, frankly. Like it's like getting into. I bet you if we graphed it, and I'll graph it and send a picture to you. But I bet you that S1000 has pretty close mid range to the 1100 RSV4. That's
pretty wild.
Yeah, and it still makes in the mid 190s, for wheel horsepower at top end. So in the racing application, they can take that mid-range out and have a meh.
2. It's